Hello everybody. Um, I am super happy today because tomorrow I'm going to get my shots. So I know that I said that I was going to show you how to do curly petal effects in UV resin, but I thought that that's going to keep me longer on the chair, so I wasn't sure I would be able to do that, so I thought of just showing you some water effect. Now you can do this in two ways. You can either get yourself, a base pendant that you can cut and then put a bezel around it, but I thought it would go much faster if I go with these little things. And excuse me. Hi Jessica, Elaine, Maria, Sharon, Sarah, Karen, Ramona, Gayleen, Judy, hi. These you can find either in my Amazon influencer store in coverables, or you can also find some in the PolyClay Play store. And what I would suggest is for you, for this kind of stuff, to use a silver one because the effect comes up better. And you might want to use one that's a little bit larger. I'll show you in later tutorials what else you can do with these little trays. Hi Skywalker. But generally speaking, these normally come with like this, and then they have a glass covering, but we are going to do resin on them. And the water effect, what I have to tell you, for the water effect, you do need a low viscosity UV resin. Of everything that I have and I've tried, the Ciao Ciao resin has the tendency to be a little bit more viscous, but this one is very low viscosity. And let me show you in my influencer store what other ones you may want to use. So this is all in UV resin, okay? You obviously can make this with casting resin a lot without a problem, but let's get on the Amazon influencer store so I can show you. So if you go, this is, let me put the link in, and if you're watching this after the live is done, check the video description because all the links are there. So if we go to resin, I hope I'm not getting past it. There we go. We go to resin, and as I said before, I generally try to organize things. I'm a little bit OCD in that, and you have the description of how this should be, how to look, because it's a long list of long stuff. So first there's casting resin, and it's the regular epoxy, and then there's some polyurethane and some other kinds of resin, and then polyester and fiberglass polyester resin, and then comes the UV resin. The one that I'm using is this one. And of the other ones, another one that's fairly low viscosity is this one. I have all of them, and I tried all of them pretty much. These three I didn't try, but everything else I did try. And then the other thing that I'm going to use is a simple interference blue from Perlex. And then if you go all the way down and you scroll to the inclusions, you can get, I do have some, but I have no idea what I did with them. I cannot find them. You can use one of these little jellyfish. And then what I have here are these itty bitty starfish, and then really tiny seashells. As you can see, these are the starfish. You can see how tiny they are, and they are, yes, they are real starfish. And then the seashells, some of them are a little bit larger, but there are some that are absolutely minuscule that you can use for this kind of stuff. Like, see, they are super tiny. So the first thing that you want to do, and you can do it in two ways. You can either put this color, I got it from mixing equal parts Premo turquoise and cobalt blue. You want a blue that's not too turquoise-ish, that is a little bit darker, but not too dark. Well, I'm glad. There's a lot of resin channels on YouTube. The thing that you have to be very careful with when you use these trays is the fact that they do have a bail. So you must be careful and not use them like this, because what happens when you use them like this, the bail is going to have the tray in a diagonal. So what you want to do once you get to the resin part is this. Place the bail out, so put the little tray on some support and place the bail out. Another thing that you can do, and you find those in the influencer store, you can use one of these things that are absolutely fabulous to work resin with. They are a kind of silicone gel thing, and they are very sticky. So you can place this here, and that way you don't worry about moving this left and right. Let me actually get another one so I can show you two different ways. And on one of them, I'm going to get a round one. I'm going to try, it's the first time that I'm trying with these pigments. And I'm going to show you the one with the interference blue, and then I'm going to do, remember I showed you those UV resin pigments, this is the white. So the first thing that we need to do, obviously, if you don't have a very thin layer of this in the tray already, and again, you don't have to have that, I'm going to use, and you can use just plain acrylic, none of this fancy schmancy stuff, but I'm going to use the Deco Art Sapphire and the Color Shift Aqua Flash. Now the thing with both of them is that they have to be very well shaken and stirred in order for you to use them properly, because they are a little bit thick and otherwise things don't work too good. Alright, so let me get my eyeglasses. I'm going to actually use my little, this is just one of those little sponges that you can get at the dollar store, and I just cut it. Don't worry if there's going to be some silvery showing underneath, it's going to just give a prettier look. You'll have to do this several times until you build a little bit of more deeper blue, if you want. And by the way, I have in my, it's still in my store, I'm still working. I submitted a few videos for Amazon Prime Video. I'm waiting for them to go online. It usually takes several weeks to see if I need to do anything else. But until then, give me just a second. There is a paid tutorial on my website. That's a breeze surf, Caribbean breeze surf, that has this effect. And I'm going to, this is a little bit more complicated effect, but it's similar. So if you want to do something that's a little bit more complicated, it is on this video on my website. If you go to the store, you'll see there's a little engine that says tutorials, and that's where you go for all my paid tutorials. Okay, so I did one. I'm going to do a second layer. Don't worry about this because this can be very easily cleaned with alcohol. If you get any acrylic on the bezel of the tray. But you'll definitely have to do several layers of acrylic to get a stronger blue. And I'm going to do this. Don't try to get it too thick to start with. You'll have to do several washes, because if you do it too thick, it's going to look like crap. And not only that, but it might even bubble once you apply the resin, because remember, the resin heats up when it cures, even the UV resin. And then acrylic, if it's in too thick of a layer, it's going to bubble up when it heats. So, okay, now let's go with the color shift. I love these sponges because they are so cheap. Remember, dollar store is $1 if you have a dollar store around. And you get quite a good number of them in a little bag, and you don't even have to worry about cleaning them properly, because they are pretty much disposable at that price. I mean, at that point you do more harm to the environment by washing them. The garden isn't going because today is the first day when we didn't have any kind, actually no, yesterday around noonish we had rain for almost a week. I still have some stuff to plant outside, and then it's going to start raining. And not only that, but it's a crazy April. We have, I think, Thursday, give me a second, possible frost, if you can imagine that. I mean, it's darn unbelievable. See? No, Tuesday, tomorrow night, freeze watch, low 33 degrees. So yeah, then it's going to be, I hope tomorrow, because tomorrow's before I go get my shots, it's supposed to be 72. So I hope to put some more seeds. I still have a lot of seeds to put in pots, so I hope that's going to work good. Hey. Okay. Where are you, Skywalker? What state? Another thing, of course, you can use blue colored resin. That is not, but this is cheaper. That's the why I'm going like this. You know, I always try to find for you the cheapest way of doing something. With some things it's impossible, and with something is visibly better if you use more expensive materials, but in this case you can get a pretty good effect even without using pigmented UV resin. Besides, remember, the pigmented UV resin is not super strong as color goes. Alright, now I think I'm pretty good. This looks very Caribbean, right? Let's look at it, and give me a second to clean this bezel. So yeah, I didn't have a very good week because of the weather. For the ladies who know, oops, I made a mess. For the ladies who have chronic pain, they know what it means when it's rainy. It's kind of like an extra on your pain level. And the other thing that I have is, I don't know, I started again with the sleep. My sleep is all messed up. For like almost a week I kept waking up at 3:30. Now yesterday I had my best friend came and we had lunch. So we saw each other for the first time since February 2020. But we were both at the 14 days after the second dose, so we considered it safe enough. And then we went real quick to the grocery store, so I was done by like 3 o'clock. Next thing you know, I fell asleep around 5 o'clock on the couch, and I woke up at 2:30. You know, it's your time to go to bed, not to cry for attention. Not sure if you heard him, but he's here. He's here wanting attentions. Finnegan. Oh, let me go grab him so you can rejoice in the sight of the fluffy cat. Yes, my sweetheart. Yes, my sweetheart. Yeah, he was trying to taunt me to go on the couch with him. Hold on, let's change this here so people can see you. So people can see you. Because you're so fluffy and so pretty. Yes, yes, yes. And he knows that's a camera. Yes, yes, yes. You precious. And this is his tail. You precious. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay. Go to bed. Yes, I did, and then I have to clean it again. But I said I'm gonna do that Tuesday after I get those shots tomorrow, because it's going to be less painful. Okay. I'm pretty much almost done. So for the first thing, this one is dry already, so I can use it. Glad you did, Janine. For the first one, I'm going to actually I'm just gonna go as is. There we go. So for the first one, I'm going to first place a little bit of, oh yes, I am so much, a little bit of resin here, and as I said, and remember, it is a low viscosity. Low viscosity means that it's very thin. And then I'm going to put a little bit of interference blue. Just a little bit. Don't put too much, because it's not a good idea to have too much. This is actually a little bit too much, but this should be good. And remember, the iridescence colors are the ones that look white on white, but they look of the interference colors. Whatever the interference color is when you put them on black. Okay, and now I'm going to simply go kind of mix it in here. You can do it separately, but from experience I can tell you, I mean, you can mix it in. Actually, I do need a little bit more. You can mix it separately and then pour it in the tray, but you're wasting more resin that way. And I think I'd better zoom in so you can see better what I'm doing. Give me just a second. Make sure that I'm well focused. Oh, come on. Okay. And there we go. So you need to mix this interference blue. Does it work with white? It does, but not as pretty as this one does. So now you have kind of a milky iridescent blue thing going on. Now comes the cool part. I'm going to get some clear resin, and I cannot do it with this because it's a little bit too thick. So I'm going to put just a little bit in here, and then I'm going to drop and when I drop this, it's going to create little bubbles. In the interference. I'm trying to get it to be able to see better, but and I'll show you another way to do it without all this trick stuff. I think I'm going to have to zoom out a little. It's not that. To be honest, I should have gone a little bit even darker, more intense with the blue. And unfortunately sometimes the camera doesn't show it properly. Okay, the second one, I'm going to again put some resin here, and then I'm going to put some white. This is the white pigment. Generally speaking, remember that the white is the most opaque of all possible pigments. And where's my... oh, there. And again, mix and mix and mix and mix. And make sure you kind of have white all over. And once again, start dropping clear. Guess this white is not very opaque. Didn't work too good. I think I'm gonna put also, I told you it's the first time I'm trying this white in this technique and it doesn't work very good. So let's get some more iridescent. Yeah, but not that soon. I mean, remember that generally speaking, all the manufacturing places in the world, manufacturing is down because of COVID. So it's not a very well going thing. So yeah, let's scrap the white pigment. It doesn't work for this technique. It doesn't work very good. Probably if you just use it by itself over blue, it might work properly, but not on this specific one. Okay, I made this one a little bit milkier, so hopefully the effect will show better. Let me try and darken the light, because I think that might be a... okay, that's much better. Let me grab a little bit more. It shows better when it's not very... when the light is not very bright. Okay, so you'll notice how the moment I drop a clear resin, it's going to form a bubble. That will start make those waves that look like the ocean. Okay, so let's rearrange this one too, because it doesn't look very terrific. Let me put a little bit more powder in here. Okay, your best bet is to, as I said, to have a little bit of a deeper blue. Not deeper as color, deeper as stronger. Get this back on track. But generally speaking, it takes a while. It will take you about 15 to 20 minutes to color the base tray, because you have to wait. Unless, of course, you can use a hair dryer to dry the acrylic faster. But generally speaking, you need about 5 or 6 coats of those thin coats to get the proper effect. Let's see if it's going to show better. The effect works. I'm gonna be very honest with you. The effect works much better with casting resin. The problem with casting resin is obviously that you cannot bake it. So if you want to make this with polymer clay, forget about it. But if you do it just in trays like this, you can use casting resin at your heart's desire. I know. Okay. Now, you can place a few of these, or if you want to make your whole thing taller, you can place them first, cure this, and then, where the heck did you go? Hold on, I lost my big scissors. Where are you? There they are. If you want to make it taller, you can place it after you do this first layer and then apply more resin on top of it. But I'm going to put some of these right now in. And with these little stars, you have to be very careful because sometimes they are a little curved. So if you go on something flattish like this one, you want to pick the stars that are flatter, not the ones that have a little bit of curve to them. So place one, look for another little one. Two. And let's try and find some super itty bitty shells. But as I said, some of them are larger, some of them are smaller. You can get even smaller ones than these, but they are more expensive. This one might be good, but might be too thick still. This should be okay. But yeah, as you saw on that forecast. Oh look, there's one that wasn't even opened. Huh. Don't worry, I can mess up really bad myself. Remember that my hands are horrible and I drop stuff all the time, so sometimes I make really big messes. And it's like, oh my god, I just lay down and now I have to get up and fix whatever I did here. Okay. This one here. Yes, I'm going to have to put another little layer on top of these, but that's fine. They are pretty well encased, and I don't want to put it now because obviously if I put it now it's going to, no, this is too tall. It's going to mess up the pattern, number one, and overflow, number two. I'm trying to find another one of these little shells that's not very tall. This is tall. Ah. One thing that I want to do with you, I think I showed you at one point the stuff that imitates painted resin. Okay, let's get this in the lamp. Okay, stay there. And remember, I said even if my my lamp is a very strong one, I generally still put my pieces twice in it. No, it's the same thing. It's pretty much the same thing. But obviously I didn't worry about bubbles because we are talking water, and in the water there are bubbles. There are some things that honestly with the resin, when I started, let me tell you, when I started learning about resin, I think I was like, God, 17 or 18. And I was already in art school and we were doing all kinds of stuff. And then at one point, one of my most favorite places was obviously the Museum of Natural History, National Museum of Natural History in Bucharest. So I was going very often there, especially when they had new exhibits. And then at one point they renewed the dioramas, and oh my god, there was all this fake water and stuff. And when I got to art school, because I think I told you I was for 8 years in art school, and I learned all kinds of stuff, from painting, sculpting, restoring antiques, and all kinds of things. And I went to the general supervising teacher person, and I said, you know what, I really want to learn how to do those. I would love to learn how to do those. And in summer we would usually do a couple weeks of internship at one of the history museums, either the Museum of Bucharest or the National History Museum. And that's how I learned, how to restore all kinds of antiques, how to do the whole upholstery, and how to restore frames and paintings, how to clean them, how to restore them. Anyway, so they really, really worked hard, and they managed to send me for my internship to the Natural History Museum. And to the guy who was the guys, because it was one guy and then, Antipa. There were like 4 or 5 guys, I don't remember. And they got me the internship there. And that's where I first started working with resin. So we are talking about, what, 40 some years. Oh yes, it was actually an after class. It wasn't a regular school. I was in regular school, and then I had 3 times a week I would go to the art school. Alrighty, and now obviously I'm gonna just put some. Yeah, I still remember when I was still in my late teens or early 20s when I saw for the first time in my life in that Antipa place if you didn't know something about me, I am very multilateral interested in stuff, from genetics to quantum physics to you name it. But that was when I first saw the first exhibit with genetic mutations, and I found that fascinating. I went back like 4 times to see it again. It was only for like a couple months, and then I would go very often when I was in my early 20s. I would go quite often because there was a huge park area. It's a beautiful place. Now it's very crowded. It's not like it was in my youth. But I used to take my dog. At one point I was, yes, and I did, because I was to the foreign languages faculty, the University of Bucharest, and one of the subjects, because you have to understand, I did that during communism, and you didn't choose your classes. Everything was mandatory, and the work week was 6 days. So I remember we had between 42 and 44 hours of class a week. And one of the subjects was pedagogy. Pedagogy is the science of teaching. And most of the people who graduated that faculty became foreign languages teachers. But one of the things that you had to do an internship as a teacher. And my luck was that both my parents were teachers, and Dad had to have a supplemental teaching program at a school that was seen by all the other teachers as it was in a bad area of the city, because it was in Vitan. And I told him, want me to do your hours? Can I do my internship, get your hours? And as young as I was, because I was like 21, 22, and people thought I was 14, still I was the only teacher with whom those kids didn't peep. Okay, let's get it nice and fully. And then we can look at it. Yep, exactly. And the other thing that was, oh God, we had in summer, it was like a month of mandatory voluntary work, if that makes any sense to you. And usually we would go, and we had, like, when I was in senior high, we also had twice a month, I think, Sundays mandatory voluntary work. But anyway, in college, usually we would be sent out harvesting and stuff. And I still remember one year the guys were all sent to harvest grapes. And the girls were sent to one of the local canning factories, and we were supposed to sort produce. Now imagine that there's a huge yard, and you have like a mound, a hill of potatoes, a hill of bell peppers, a hill of onions. And if you've never smelled rotting onions, you've never, I mean, only the smell of C. diff is worse than rotting onions. I mean, rotting potatoes are babies. Anyway, so there we were, and it was cold. We all had, patriotic labor. We all had, thermos bottles with coffee with vodka in it. And that's where all the girls were. At least we had the girls, and we made so much fun of them. The girls from the Germanic languages were sent to sort garlic. Poor girls, when they would get on the bus on the way home, everybody was running away from them, considering how crowded the buses were at that time. But anyway, while our boys, they were harvesting grapes. They had good food, but the thing was that they were given, because they were in like barracks, and they were given every evening a bucket of wine for because they were in barracks on bunk beds, triple bunk beds, a bucket for 4 bunk beds and several loaves of big bread. That's all they needed. They all came back fat, while we were struggling in the cold, sorting. And I can tell you one thing, after I went there, because of course they gave us a tour of the factory, I didn't eat canned food for years, until long after the fall of communism. Because you would go where they were making the tomato sauce and tomato paste, you could hear the rats running through those things. Ugh. I eat raw garlic. I'm Romanian. Of course I eat raw garlic. Okay, so you get something like this. Where did I put that little... I lost my little sheet of paper. Where this goes. What did I do? Oh, there it is. Let me get this off. It's back on its sheet. Alrighty. Now, can you do earrings and stuff? Yes, you can. Okay, I'm going to try and show them to you. Let's try this. Instead of zooming, I'm going to try to just refocus. Okay. So remember, the effect is way stronger when you do a better job in covering with your blue. But nevertheless, you get the idea. This looks like pretty much like water when you have it, and when it is, because people will look at it a little bit from above, and when you look at it from above, it's going to have all these pretty radiance effects. I'm trying to not show my hand. And get all these. There you go. I don't know why let me try again with lower, or the brightness. looking better. As I said, the effect doesn't show very good because I didn't put enough blue on the bottom, but this is how you get it, how you get all this effect, and it's real pretty. I would suggest that when you put this stuff, if you want to make it look even better, you do leave a little bit of the some of the shells, you leave them out of the resin uncovered, because it's going to give even more water effect. Now again, as I said, if you don't have and if you don't want to bother with the acrylic, then your best bet is, let me refocus here, your best bet is to simply cover, and I will do that for you, just, you know, to show you how. But in that case, if you cover with clay, you don't have to worry about the thing being silver. You can do it in any other color. Just put your clay in a very, very thin sheet. So your clay has to be below the bezel. So go as thin as you can. On your machine, and you can even try to, if you condition it well enough, you can actually pull on it a little bit and make it even thinner. And then lose your X-Acto knife, find your X-Acto knife. And of course you'll have to bake it first, right? So very careful not to get air bubbles in there. And your best bet is to get one of these little tools and make sure that you get it all in. Because even if these might have the tendency to come out, if you get it all the way under the lip of the tray, it won't come out. Generally speaking, when you do any kind of polymer clay in this kind of trays, your best bet is to, after you bake them and everything, to pop them out and then glue them in, because otherwise they might come out. And there's a reason why these trays have a textured, okay, I'm messing up, I'm starting to hurt, so I'm starting to mess up. There's a reason why these things have a textured tray, to allow for things to stick to them. But yeah, tomorrow at 1:30 gonna be my shot day, and I cannot wait. So you kind of cut it properly and then make sure that you press it well under this, because again, as I said, this lip actually comes a little bit curved like this. So if you manage to get it under the lip, and then you can do your effect. But you can imagine how this effect looks much better on a stronger color. Okay, and next Sunday we will go for the because a lot of people have asked me, why don't you say, let me explain something. A lot of people have asked me, why don't you post like a week ahead what you're going to do on Sunday, so we can go ahead and order stuff if we don't have it. Well, the main thing is that I generally pick the subject of my lives the day before, or even that morning. okay? But as I went and I promised you this, let me actually show you what you want to get for the curly petals thing. Okay, number one, you want the soft resin. Hold on, where am I? Here I am. You want the soft resin. You cannot do the curly petals with hard resin. So remember, first in the UV you have the hard resins, and then there are the soft resins. So these are all soft resins. Not only that, this is the Ciao Ciao, and you don't need a low viscosity. And generally speaking, I know that Trish still has some soft resin. Let's check on that. And please don't forget to use my affiliate link. Yes, she still has, and you see it's cheaper than on Amazon. The soft resin is a little bit more expensive. So we are going to use this. Then you can use practically most of the flowers. Let's go to the molds down here. The ones that I've been using, they are the little, remember the ones that I used last time. They are the little, there you go, these ones. Oh, what the heck, they don't have them anymore. I checked and they had them. Okay, all buying up. Oh no, they still are, but they have a long, alrighty. I'm gonna have to look for something else, because it's $12.99 delivery. Doesn't look good. I'm gonna have to look for another supplier to try and find it. Maybe another. And yeah, somebody else asked me, are we going to do these little devil cats? Yes, we are. We are going to do some devil cats, and some of these I actually need to get them for myself. I didn't get me one, and they are not available. I'll have to look for other ones for these, or maybe we can make them out of clay and then use them. Why don't we do that? But I'll have to look for these flower petals, because see, that's the problem whenever it's about the Chinese stuff. All of a sudden it can disappear, or they replace that item with something else, but they keep the same whatchamacallit, the same a code. So anyway, I'm going to have to find that. If I cannot find that, then we'll have to work with something else, and I'll figure out something. Okay, maybe we'll work with Cernit, now that you can find Cernit on PolyClay Play and not just on Clay Factory. It's going to be much easier, so maybe we'll work something with Cernit. And I can show you the difference between where is Cernit and Premo are so different in what exact aspects and terms. Okay, so I hope you have fun doing these. Remember, do the color on the bottom much more intense, not darker, just more intense. And this is from equal parts turquoise and cobalt, this color. Okay, thank you so much, and I shall see you next Sunday. Okay, have a wonderful what's left of the weekend. Goodbye. Don't forget to thumb me up. Bye.